All right, 6:30, we'll call this meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All counselors are present. General reports for meeting minutes for March 2nd, March 7th, and March 23rd.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Department reports as submitted.
I'll make the motion that we accept the department reports as submitted.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? We do not have any public hearings tonight, but I am going to turn it over to you, or no? Not yet. Do it later. Okay, that's good.
After my town manager report.
Okay. So like I said, we don't have any public hearings, but we can take comments from the public, 3 minutes each, and just turn on the microphone. Please state your name and address.
Mary Martin, and I'm here representing RSU 16 School Board, and Jess Smith is also here with me. And I live on 219 Jordan Road here in Mechanic Falls. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to let you know where we are in the budget development process. We have had 2 meetings, one an all-day one in the middle of March, and then we had an evening one. And that the budget committee did vote on a proposal to move forward to the school board. And Carl Beckett was there at all of those meetings as a community representative that you had appointed. So now that budget proposal will be presented at our next RSU 16 board meeting, which is April 14th. And the board will vote on that proposal that night and any warrant articles. And then it will go to the district budget meeting, which that is on May 17th when it'll be voted on. And that's the first step in the approval process. And the second step is the referendum that is at the same time that the town referendum is on June 14th, which is a yes or no vote. At the district budget meeting is the time when people can come ask questions, and each of those articles will be discussed. So this year, there's also a second question. So I brought you each. This is a description of that second question. So required every 3 years to put on the ballot a question that asks, as I just said, right now, our budget approval process is a 2-step process where we have a district budget meeting and then it has a referendum vote. So each year every 3 years, we have to ask, and that's the second question on here. Do you wish to continue the budget validation referendum process in RSU 16 for an additional 3 years? On the other side, there certainly are some advantages in terms of the school department to having it have a district meeting, in that we can have that meeting earlier, and then we can have more opportunity to fill positions. We don't have to wait until that June referendum. It does eliminate some of the cost of the referendums in the 3 towns and eliminates some hardship for our town clerks and community members having sometimes to do 2 referendums. And also voters can ask questions at the first one and then get answers to each of the warrant articles. One of the things that sometimes people have said to me is that because it is just a yes or no on the referendum, they don't feel like they have all the information they need. We'd like to encourage as many people as possible to come to the district meeting so that we can walk through each of those warrant articles with them. So I wanted you to be aware that there was a second question and what that second question is all about. And Jess and I will continue to try to come to your meetings here, but I would ask you if you have questions in between to feel free to get in touch with us. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jess Smith. I live at 13 Perkins Road in Mechanic Falls. I saw on the agenda that you have an item to discuss tonight, the before and after school care programs lease. So I wanted to come and just ask for you to please continue the lease as is without changing the terms and conditions. This is a nonprofit before and after school care program. There are very few childcare options in our town. This is a particularly well-run program. My children attended kindergarten through 6th grade at Elm Street School. This is a nonprofit, so it's not like a daycare at someone's house. They barely have enough money to pay all of the bills. There's a long wait list for children looking to get into the program. It's excellent childcare. For me and my husband, it was very important because they're open on snow days. They're open if there's a 2-hour delay. They're still open in the morning, so you're able to go to work because most workplaces don't close just because it's snowing. They're open on school vacation weeks also. The hours are 6:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. So if you're working an 8 to 5 job, you have time to get to work and get back and get your kids. So it just is a really important resource and service to the town that we have that right here in our building. So I'd encourage you to keep the lease the way that it is. Thank you.
Jessica?
Yeah.
So the only change in the lease is the $100 per month. Is that what you're talking about?
Nope, it's been that way.
Okay, what changes?
I don't know what's being proposed. I just saw it on the agenda, and the last time we had a new town manager, this came up and they were looking to charge more for rent and change the utilities and how that was all structured. So I have no idea what you're planning or what's going to be proposed. I just wanted to kind of do a preemptive. I support the way that it's run right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will close the comments from the public as long as there's no one online. Yep. We're good.
I just want to make sure she hit,
Okay, we're
I
fine.
just want to make sure she hit the green light to shut it off.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to close comments from the public, if everyone's all set, and move to council discussion topics.
I've had some citizens ask me if we could have a meet and greet with our new police department since it's so new. So I have mentioned that to Mr. Hodgkins, and he said he'd have to talk to Chief Goss and figure that out. So, but so that they know I've talked to the people I need to, and they will figure it out. And we need to set a date for a meet and greet for those running for the different offices too.
Based on your last meeting, the meet and greet is scheduled for May for the candidates. My question to you, do you mean for counselors?
Everybody,
Ev,
yeah.
okay, all right. Okay, so that will be scheduled at 6 PM. Or actually, it may even be up to you guys. I don't know when you want to tackle this, but there is a possibility that you may have an executive session before the meeting in May. And if that comes to pass, right now I've got your meet the candidates scheduled at 6 and then our meeting at 6:30. Okay. So if I need to schedule an executive session for you, would you wish for that to meet the candidates at 5:30, executive session at 6, or executive session at 5:30, or you guys tell me?
I think
Executive
it makes
session.
more sense to do the executive
Yeah.
session so that everybody's not sitting here while we're in
Waiting.
executive session.
Okay. All right. So if I need to, there's things in the wind.
Yep.
But if I need to, then I'll do that at 5:30 and have the meet the candidates at 6. Okay. All right.
Just before well, at 5:10 PM, I did get an email. It was just to myself, so I thought I'd read it to the council. It was from Danielle Loring. She is the is it the town manager in Minot?
Administrator.
Town administrator. Okay, so she's the town administrator, but she does live here in Mechanic Falls. And she just said, "Good evening, Chairwoman Downing. I'm writing to you because I understand that the topic is coming up again about the renewing the before and after school programs lease. And I'm writing this as a letter of support. First, as I stated in my comments a couple of years back, I remain firm that the program provides a crucial public service as a nonprofit organization. It not only provides an enriching and safe space for children to participate so their parents or caretakers can work, but it also helps to support the town because children's programming has been proven to reduce policing and enforcement costs for communities. Next, I know it can seem like the program is getting a great deal because the rent is controlled, but this helps to keep program costs low. This is important for a community that has many individuals who struggle to make ends meet, which the current inflation rates has not helped. Also, given that we are recently opening up from the pandemic, the impacts of the pandemic are still evident as the program was not able to run at full capacity the last 2 years, nor hold any fundraising events, while also being responsible for more supplies to meet requirements or provide for children who were in attendance full-time versus just before or after school. Finally, the number of childcare options is constantly reducing. I heard the M&M childcare just across the board, just across in Oxford is closing. Mary's and Minot closed last fall, and others have lengthy wait lists. This is a serious problem for working families. I urge the board to maintain the current relationship and agreement with the before and after school program so that they can continue to provide high quality services for an affordable price to Mechanic Falls families. Amanda and her staff do a fantastic job and do it for an affordable tuition. Thank you for your consideration. So thought I would let you guys know and the public know there's the support for that.
Thank you.
Any other issues? Right, you're up, Vic. Town manager report.
All right, I'll try to tick through these. LED streetlight project update. So guess what? CMP is a laggard. So I am working with somebody from CMP and I'm being very supportive and trying to push them along. The two things that I gotta, like I showed you guys last time, we have a better value update, and there seems to be some confusion between real term and CMP in terms of the coordinates, the GIS information that CMP has provided to real term. And so they are working out the bugs. And it's my understanding it's taking some on-site visits in order to work out some bugs. And we're looking to the email I received this morning said that my contact from CMP said that hopefully by week's end, they'll have all of that worked out. And I've been really pushing hard to get a contract now that we have a new updated number. Because it's my understanding, as soon as we cut them a check, we own the equipment, and then that should release us from leasing the equipment moving forward. And I'm hoping that it's going to be seamless, but if not, I'll make sure that if it lags a couple of months, that they give us the credits that they need to give to us. So I will be on it. So everything else seems to be good. We just need to get over the CMP hump and on both ends. I need a contract to sign, and they need to square up with Realtor. LED fire station and public works. So Efficiency Maine came out with something at the first of the year where the 4-foot fluorescent bulbs, if they're type A T8s, Efficiency Maine is offering a rebate. Well, they're offering to have municipalities and others like us purchase them for 50 cents each.
Wow.
And we're talking about, so I had both Fred and Scott go through the building over there, because to me, that's the first place that we need to tackle. And so I believe this Wednesday, 75 of the 120 that we've ordered will be delivered from Gilman, and Scott and the boys will work on the public works side first. And then in a few weeks, once the remaining 45 come in, the fire department and public works will work together to get the new lamps installed in the fire station. So we have gone almost the opposite of what we've done with the street lights. The street lights are 2,700 kelvins. These will be 5,000. Because we want daylight in those buildings. And so I don't know if you remember your tour of especially the Public Works building is kind of dim and dark in there. And so we're hoping that this makes a big difference. It certainly will make a big difference to our power bills moving forward. And so for what, $60 and some labor, we're going to be getting a win-win. And we don't even have to do the paperwork. Woman's doing it all. So assuming success there, then we'll take a look at some of the other places and see if we can do, but they don't all have to be 5,000 kelvins. So, but we'll take a look. Landfill closure update. This is a big subject I've been chasing for the last, couple of months since I updated you folks that we're going to be looking at the story. So the only note that I had was just a little cryptic note saying landfill closure 2025. So what I've done is I've reached out to Haley Ward, the folks that are doing our water testing, and they have an arm, a division that works on landfill closures. And so I have been working with a gentleman, and he's already done some homework and gave us some very vital information. And based on our license and everything, I don't think we need to close it in 2025. I'm not making a declarative statement with that. I think we have another, if what I'm reading is correct, we could have as many as another 26, 27, 28 years of use at that facility. But we're not guessing at anything because this is too important. So on May, I think it's May 11th, the gentleman from Haley Ward is meeting me at the transfer station, and he and I and Norm are going to tour the facility. And he's going to, based on the information that he has and all reports that he can find, he's going to write us up a proposal with options on how we can move forward. And so it will be for him to come in May. We're paying for his time and expenses. And then assuming we want to move forward with this proposal, then the proposal will be whatever it will be, and I'll of course bring that to you. But I want to, because I'm not an expert on this subject and it's too important not to get right. So, and it makes sense to me to deal with the people who are doing our water testing. And so that's where we're at. And I'm actually very happy with the information I've received so far. And we'll see where it goes in May. Okay.
Really quick. So it's on schedule to be closed in 2025, but they say that.
No, so I think part of the issue, I almost really don't want to speculate, but if you made me speculate, the state has an offering to help close the facility if you do it within a certain time frame, and I believe it's 2025. And so we checked our license, and that deal that was put out there, I believe it's 75. The state will pay 75%. That deal was for landfills up to a certain year. Our landfill was created like 3 years after the limit. And so we wouldn't qualify for that program anyways. See, and this is what you get for talking to experts, right? People who know.
Right.
And so I've gleaned that much information, but I don't in any way want to sit here tonight saying I'm making declarative statements. It's still a learning journey. I'm just giving you a peek into what I believe to be the future, but let's have this guy come in. Let's have him do his business and give us a report, and then I'll report that to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Tax foreclosure update. So April 14th is the new last date for folks to pay their taxes or lose their places due to automatic foreclosure. It's my understanding that we've had a couple more come in, but there's still others out there on the list. And so if they're listening, please come in and square up. We don't want to be in the real estate business any more than we have to. And so, but we have worked hard. Lisa, Janice, and I have really worked hard, and Joan is digging in, trying to learn them as much as we can. We've reached out to Dennis, who's been a big help from O'Donnell's. And so, been in touch with our attorney on some of the legalities of this. And so I'm comfortable where we're at tonight. I just want those folks to come in and square up with us.
Did that class that you went to help any?
So as a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm headed to Augusta for an all-day session on the tax lien process. And Joan is scheduled to join me tomorrow. She was out sick today, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But while I and Joan are in Augusta, Janice is doing a new Clerks 2-day seminar. So the clerk's office, thank you. The clerk's office will be closed tomorrow for staff training. I put it on Facebook, I put it on the website, and so we put it on the doors. So we've done everything we can to communicate that. Plow truck bid update. So Scott and I worked together to send out some bids for a new truck. And so those bids have gone out. I hope to have that information for you for your May meeting. Police cruiser bid update. We're going to talk about here in just a minute. We are starting our email conversion. The first thing that we're doing is we're reviewing an Excel spreadsheet of all the accounts that Advanced Microsystem currently has. And we're going through a first phase of winnowing, removing accounts that aren't going to migrate to Microsoft 365. So it's kind of like a first step. And so I hope probably end of this week, first part of next week, to have that list back to Advanced Microsystems. And we will begin that journey. And clerk's office will be closed tomorrow. All right. I could go on and on, but I'll give it back to you.
Okay. You didn't want to add.
I'll give it back to you for a second to take it back.
Yes,
So
please do.
we have changes on the agenda tonight. If the council will entertain the following changes. We would like to take the police cruiser bid and move that up next on the agenda. We would like to add under new business after the before and after school program, a topic for you to add a public hearing to the May agenda. It's another meeting with the public hearing with the planning board for more land use ordinance changes. We also want to add an item for exceptional, et cetera, restaurant, whatever the official title is, exceptional restaurant for a liquor license renewal. And Jeff is here to speak on that as well. And so if we could do the police cruiser, and actually, if we could do the police cruiser, the public hearing and the liquor license, boom, 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 that would give Jeff the rest of the night off.
Do you want a motion?
I make a motion that we suspend Robert's rules.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone want a motion
And
to
you
add?
want to
these?
make a motion for the changes?
I make a motion that we add as given the entities to our agenda that were given by the town manager
Okay.
as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you. So next up would be the police cruiser bid.
So what I did is I sent out requests for bids to 3 different dealerships, one in South Paris, one in Auburn, and one in Augusta. The one in South Paris, right now, you probably have all heard, coming by vehicles, period, is extremely difficult, and cruisers seems to be even more difficult. So the one in South Paris called and told me that they wouldn't be able to get one until a 2023 model year, and it would be late this year, if not into next year. So they said they weren't going to bid this time, but they wish to remain on our list. I didn't hear back at all from the one in Auburn, and the one in Augusta submitted a bid of the total was $40,570. There's a $3,000, I believe he called that a public safety discount. So that brought it to $37,570, and they're willing to give us $10,129 allowance on trading in the 2018 we have now. So that puts us at $27,441. That doesn't include putting all the gear and everything in it. That's just a shell of a police cruiser.
Right, but if they give you the allowance, so then you don't have to try to sell it on your own, right?
Exactly.
And that's good.
Exactly.
This
And
is
we
very good.
usually don't get
Right,
anything like this.
right. This is,
This is like 3 trade-ins.
well, yeah, there you go. There's some more money, bring up some money to do that other stuff.
Yeah. So that's what I request we go with.
Okay.
Not like I got a lot of choice.
Well, you need a car. We have a
And the
car.
only other thing was it was to be delivered by June or in no later than June. They put June on here with a question mark. And when I spoke with him, he said, due to the transportation issues, even if the cruise is available, it might be across the country and there's nobody driving it here, you know, on a trailer here, so he can't guarantee me the delivery date.
But he won't take ours until we get,
He won't take ours until we get the new one.
Okay.
He said it could be here, you know, if you folks approved it tonight, he said it could be here next week, it
Oh.
could be here whenever.
Okay.
That's it. He says it was all ordered. The car was already previously ordered because he doesn't have any trouble selling them. So if we didn't get it, somebody else would. So he already ordered it. So,
Okay.
and it's a 2022 model year. It's not a 23 or a 21.
And you're happy with that, Jeff?
Oh, yes. The only thing I wish we could have got another hybrid, but there isn't one available to be had.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Quirk Auto Group for the 2022 Cruiser as priced out.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, we want to do the public hearing?
Yeah,
You want to tell
public-
us more about that?
Yeah, this is requested by Alan
Okay,
to have, and I misspoke earlier when I was talking about an executive session. It was actually this item here.
Oh.
So, and who knows, maybe there will be an executive session too. I know there's a couple coming in your future. So the concept being doing pretty much what we did on the 23rd, have a joint public hearing. And then you guys, during the course of that evening, do some more voting on some more changes.
and is this just a continuation basically of the ones that we didn't?
As I understand it, it's just some items that we didn't get to that night. So yes, in effect, it's a continuation.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge.
Okay, so within 5 days of the meeting, you'll have all of the agenda for the ones that we'll be talking about. So
Yeah,
you just want to,
so we're just gonna need a vote from you to hold the public hearing.
during our council meeting, are you talking
Yeah,
about? Okay,
on May,
okay.
on May 2nd.
Okay.
We have to
And-
have a joint meeting,
I'm sorry?
a joint meeting.
Yes, a joint public hearing meeting with the planning board, just as before. And that gets us into our 5:36. So I don't know if you'd want to do the meet and greet at 5:30.
I think knowing now what I know, I would switch them.
Yeah. So-
If it was executive session,
Yeah,
then it would
yeah.
make sense to have that first.
Yeah, and my apology for misspeaking.
No,
Yeah,
it's-
no.
Yeah,
it happens.
So, yeah, so to put the cart and the horse in the right thing, yeah. So if we did a 5:30 meet and greet to 6, have the public hearing at 6, and then go into the meeting
Regular meeting.
at 6:30 time approximate. So if that works for you, I'll need a motion to that effect.
I'll make that said motion as you stated it. I'm not gonna go through all that. Sorry.
What he said.
Yeah, what you said. She did it. I'm doing it. Are you sure what you seconded?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you. And Friday afternoon, we had the rain come in from a traditional restaurant to. I get confused because back in the day it was called Et Cetera, right? And then it changed to Exceptional Restaurant. So my apologies to all. Doreen came in and she said, even though they're shut down right now, they're going to be opening up here in just a bit. And she realized that she was a little behind with the liquor license renewal and wanted to get that fixed ASAP. And so part of the thing is that Jeff needed to sign off on it. And I don't know if you want to say anything about it, Jeff.
Never been an issue.
And so where they've been doing for more than 5 years, I mean, 2 things from you. The first thing is to vote to waive the public hearing on this. And then the second thing is the motion to
Renew it.
Renew it. I make a motion that we waive the public hearing. As the law says, if somebody's been in good standing for 5 years or more, we can do that. And I feel we need to utilize that.
Mention who we're waiving it for.
Oh, except for Exceptionals Restaurant.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so the public hearing is waived. Now we need a motion.
I make a motion that we renew the liquor license for Exceptional Restaurant.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Excellent. Thank you.
So
now
Jeff
are we-
can go home now if he wants.
You can.
Thank you. I do feel your pain on the car things. I looked this weekend and there are none. I couldn't believe it. We went to 8 dealerships and there was practically no new vehicles on the lots.
The gentleman up in Augusta said that he had like 30 22s ordered and they canceled them all. Said people have to resubmit because they're gonna do 23s, they're not doing any more 22s. So. Have a great night.
You too, thank you.
You too.
So now we're going back to the personnel policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So as presented over the last month or so is a brand new personnel policy. And so some homework that you guys had an opportunity to do is to kind of review this, and we wanted to break it up in sections. My goal is to have this to be, with your support, to have this be a living document as of July 1. And so the homework is between now and then. And so for tonight, if we can get through sections 1 through 5, then on your May agenda, pretty much I'll wrap it up from there. Yeah. So, Madam Chair, I don't know how you wish to do this. If you want to go page by page, if you want to go section by section, if you just want to take general comments, I'm here to help however I can.
Well, did anyone have any particulars that they wanted to start with? Or do you want to just kind of go through it if you change something
Yeah, no,
on those first?
I haven't changed anything. What I can do is kind of go through a synopsis.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So glasses off so I can see. All right. So the personnel policy 2022 has a preamble which basically lays out the information that this is a town council document for the relationship that the town has with its employees, and that employees should use this as a guide. This by in no means is a contract unto itself. It's just a direction source for how the town of Mechanic Falls chooses to have a relation with its employees in terms of all sorts of things, including benefits and whatnot. What follows next are several pages of table of contents. And then we have an introduction, which is kind of a little bit more of the same, welcoming employees here. And policy. Personnel policy is to establish and set forth a uniform and equitable system of personnel administration, generally governing employment with the town of Mechanic Falls. And there's more sections to that, rules of applications. And then there's a note, the town manager has the authority to make exceptions to these policies when necessary for the good of the town and in the exercise of his or her authority under provisions of the Mechanic Falls Town Charter. Then we go to section 2. Yep.
I guess, could you explain that a little more? I don't know, I'm not clear as to, on the charter and how the notes that on the town.
Oh, the
manager.
town manager part?
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is, you'll forgive me a little bit because again, this is created by 4 different documents, including the town of Mechanic Falls current personnel policy, along with the personnel policies of Poland, Minot, and Norway. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe there's verbiage similar to this in our current personnel policy.
okay.
And if not, it's in one of the policies. And so if you're not comfortable with that language, we can certainly pull it out. Basically, it's kind of like a catch-all. Under certain circumstances, it gives the town manager flexibility.
Okay. That's-
You
Thank
know,
you. That's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
What would be some of those potential?
Don't know until it happens.
Well, that's a lot of it right there. The only thing I can, there are a handful of other places that say at the discretion of the town manager. For example, comp time. The personnel policy allows for accumulation of 24 hours of comp time. So let's take Jeff, for example. So as a department of 1, it's not rocket science. The gentleman has put in a lot of comp time.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's collected more than 24 hours of comp time. And so we have paid him out on a good deal of this comp time at the town manager's discretion, because there's no way he would be able to take that amount of time.
No, never.
We'd have to give him a year and a half off. I exaggerate, but you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
So there are certain circumstances that come up that make sense for, living in the land of gray and maneuvering to get the job done. And that's kind of what it's for. It's not for an everyday wave the wand thing, because these are the rules of the road. And so, by and large, unless there's some reason not to, these rules of the road would be looked at.
So with the example you just gave, that was already in our policy?
Well, it was in his contract. So, the thing is, and I think it was actually part of the town policy. The thing is that, again, I'm not, without having the current town policy here and looking at it word for word, I'm just giving you a general example. I mean, that was a classic example. There was no way that he was going to be able to take all of this comp time, and his contract allowed for that anyways, but I'm just using him as for an example. If there was some other employee, I don't know, some public works employee who was in a similar situation, it doesn't make sense for them to, have 100 hours of comp time on the books. So in those circumstances, the town manager has discretion to pay them out.
And that goes back in references to charter, which probably says the same thing.
Well, it may or may not. Again, so I don't want to dig my hole.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
But it can't go contrary to the chart. That's
No.
what
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
is
yeah,
that
yeah.
it can't, it's within the rules of the charter.
Yeah, and so just as a cover for you and for everybody else. So this personnel policy, after I created it, was vetted by Lisa. And then she came back with some feedback, and then it has been vetted by Kristen, our new attorney. And so it's been through the process, and now, because at the end of the day, you guys are signing this. This is your document. I'm just kind of teeing it up, and we'll go through it to whatever degree makes you comfortable. The overriding thesis is that this is a much more comprehensive document than our current document, and it is employee friendly based on the themes that you guys have espoused to me from day one. But that doesn't mean that it's a Christmas morning every day, you know, on every subject. I mean, there's still. So classification, section 2 is classification of employment, full-time, permanent, part-time, temporary, per diem, and firefighter. And so it has definitions of those personnel.
What does the municipal mean? It says firefighter, comma, municipal.
I'm sorry, say again?
It says firefighter, comma, municipal. So what would fall under municipal?
Yeah, so I could have taken the comma out. You had 2 categories, firefighter municipal and firefighter volunteer. And so through working with Kristen, we took away the volunteer because it becomes a game of semantics to some degree because they're on-call paid volunteers, right? You know, and nobody in the fire department is totally volunteering their time and not expecting any sort of remuneration at all.
Okay.
All right. Section 3, employment conditions. Lays out that all employees must file an application. Talks about equal employment opportunity. All the language that you would assume would be there. Attendance and punctuality, hours of work, mandatory training. Each year, there's certain mandatory. Is it? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Attendance, punctuality, hours of work, mandatory training. So during the course of the year, we are, all employees are required to take certain safety trainings. And so that speaks to that. Probationary period, every employee serves a 6-month probation. Promotions, transfers, what happens there. Separation or termination of employment. And so we're hoping that to be in good standing, you have to give at least a 2-week notice. And it talks about that. Loss of job as a result of loss of license or certification. So certain positions in the town require you to be certified or licensed. And so you need to make sure you maintain those. And what happens if you don't? All employees go through a background check. Some employees go through physical exams and drug and alcohol testing. The Public Works Department has random drug testing that they have to do. Section 4, compensation. Compensation talks in general language about how the town compensates its employees, talks about wage increases and how we go about that. Talks about the payroll work week, timekeeping, making sure you keep your timesheets accurately, and penalties if you don't. Payday, overtime pay, compensatory time. And this gets into the hole I was in a couple of minutes ago. The language is all there. Acting department head pay. So if somebody, let's say you guys can me and somebody steps in and does my role for a couple of weeks, more than a couple of weeks, they get pay increase because of that, and it lays it out. And basically it's in between, be it whatever position that they're filling as an acting manager, they will get the midway spread between their current pay and that manager's pay. So it's like a fairness issue.
That's it.
Yeah, we'll go through section 5, employee benefits. Because that's what I just did was the end of section 4. right.
He's going through 5.
Okay, I thought we
Okay.
started at 5
Uh,
next time. I
yeah.
thought I did.
So I'm rolling along. So if you guys do have any questions or thoughts, let me know.
I will.
Okay. All right. Employee benefits. This is a big change. So this change here says that moving forward, the town of Mechanic Falls will use the main state holiday calendar for our official holidays. And the reason why this makes sense, and more towns are shifting to this, the reason why it makes sense is because if the state is closed, we can't do car regs, can't do all of that sort of stuff anyways. And emergency safety personnel are emergency safety personnel, so they have their own worlds. This musical interlude is brought to you by Cindy.
Sorry about that.
What's that?
Yeah.
Got the ice cream man. Yeah. Okay. So back to the story. So, the list of current main state holidays includes 2 holidays that the town of Mechanic Falls does not currently have. Number 1 is Patriots Day. And number 2 is a brand new holiday that is Juneteenth. So you would have to do something about Juneteenth anyways. So, and again, in my mind, this is your document, so you can do whatever you want to do, but I would advocate to move to the state of Maine holiday schedule as laid out. And then it does go on to say that whenever a holiday is on a Saturday, then we take the Friday. If it's on a Sunday, then we take the Monday.
And if it falls in the middle of the week, we shut down for a day in the middle of the week.
Well, yeah, we just take the holiday in the middle of the week and then come back the next day, right? And it has language about if you're already scheduled for a vacation, that the holiday does not count as a vacation day. So
Should I save it?
Shut it off.
So in this, I think the rest of the language here is pretty much the same as has been. I'm trying to give you highlight the differences. So the biggest difference is that I'm suggesting that we add 2 holidays to the calendar and continually roll. If Main State holiday calendar changes, then it would precipitate an automatic change to our calendar.
And the water department, it doesn't apply to them because of the nature of the beast.
Well, it does, it doesn't, it doesn't. It's just they're on a calendar year, we're on a fiscal year. So a majority of these, and because they have, don't ask me to explain it because I can't. They are accustomed to working on certain holidays anyways. You'd have to get Steve or Michelle in here to answer the skinny on that, okay? So we just kept that language the same that's in the current personnel policy, okay? Personal day. So the plot thickens. So because the town of Mechanic Falls, for whatever reason, did not give Patriots Day as a holiday, it allowed for the employees to take a floating day during the course of the year. So I have revamped the phrase floating day to make it to what is more commonly known as personal day. So as a part of this process, every employee would maintain their floating, now known as personal day. So they get 1 personal day per year, which is what is current. Vacation time. So the only change in the grid that is on there for vacation time in something that we'll discuss at the May meeting. Well, I guess I need to kind of, you do understand that we're living in the world of minutia, having these conversations. And so I'm going to try to make everything as not very deep in the minutiae as I can. So one of the things that Kristen, our attorney, came back to is that the town currently has a policy that if your hire date is July 1 through December 31st, then your anniversary date becomes July 1 of that new fiscal year. So if you're hired like me, I was hired in September. So my anniversary date is not September, even though that's my hire date. My anniversary date reverts back to July 1st. However, based on the current personnel policy, if you are hired, like we just hired Joan, her anniversary date does not revert back to the prior July 1st. It doesn't happen until the next July 1st. So she loses because her hire date doesn't revert backwards, it reverts forwards. And so Kristen said that's not good.
Right.
So in
Where
going
is it-
around,
Where is it currently? Where's the cutoff? Is it like the end of the year? Is that what, anything after the end of the year?
yeah, so
goes
any,
forward?
so if
That's
you
the way it
were,
is right now.
so if you were hired December 28th
You would be like you,
to the previous July 1st.
but anyone.
If you
after
were
January
hired
1st.
January 6th, your anniversary date wouldn't be back to July 1st. It would be forward to the next July 1st,
So you lose a year.
5 or 6 months later. That's the current policy.
Okay.
So
But,
Kristen says that can't stand.
but what if you're hired on June 1st?
On June 1st, you mean July 1st?
No, June 1st.
If you're
You
hired
got
on,
1 month, and then if we change the policy the way you're talking, they would only have to be employed for 1 month, and they would have
Yes.
their anniversary date.
yes, to.
That's why it's the way it is now.
So yes, but it's not fair to the people that are hired in the first half of the year because they don't get an anniversary date for several months. And the reason why the anniversary date is important feeds into this. So you count the anniversary dates towards the years towards vacation. And so people who are hired in the first half of the year are being penalized.
Well, they will be if somebody gets hired. If we change it, they'll be penalized as well because they've worked a whole year to get that anniversary date. Where if somebody gets hired in June, they're only gonna have to work a month.
So in splicing this every which way but loose and trying to come up with not the perfect, but the fairest solution of all seems to be to have the anniversary date be the first day of every new fiscal year for anybody hired in that fiscal year.
Why can't it just be from September to September or January to January?
It can, some places do that. It becomes a much more of a nightmare for Lisa to keep track of. And so she advocates strongly in these conversations to make it July 1. And so in conversations with everybody, it makes sense that whatever fiscal year you're hired in, whatever date you're hired in that fiscal year, your anniversary date is going to always be July 1st of the fiscal year you were hired in. So regardless if you're hired in September or you're hired in March, we'll use this current fiscal year, the anniversary date reverts back to July 1, 2022. So the people that are hired right now don't have to, did I say 2022? I mean, July 1, 2021. So the people hired now don't have to wait until July 1, 2022. So because you can give employees more than what law says, but you can't give them less.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a quasi legal and fairness issue all rolled into one without a perfect solution. The closest perfect solution would be to use the actual hire date as the anniversary date, but that's just going to upset all the apple carts that we've been accustomed to for decades. So,
The pandemic did that. We all sort of got innovative. So
I'm sorry.
I said the pandemic did that and we all sort
Yeah.
of got innovative.
Yeah.
So
So,
are you talking about this like first year with the 40 hours?
So
is that
yeah,
what-
so that's
Because
why.
I don't know if it's just, I'm just not getting it, or I'm not understanding this bounce back.
Yeah, so under the grid that you have here.
Yeah.
The only section that changed from our current policy is the accrual rate. So that 0 to 1 for essentially new hires,
Right.
they just get a flat 40 hours after probation. It's much simpler stated that way,
Oh, okay.
because you also have to serve your 6-month probation. So it becomes problematic, right? So the way that it is now, if you're hired in April but your anniversary date isn't going to be until July 1, but you're still serving your 6-month anniversary, your 6-month probation, it becomes a little slide rule math. And like I said, I know I'm living in the land of minutia here, and I'm trying not to make this any more difficult than necessary. But in order for me to explain this flat 40 hours after probation, I needed to say everything I just said to you about the July 1st anniversary date. And the reason why it's important is the longer you're here, so it makes a difference on when you come up the grid. When you go from 1 week vacation to 2 weeks vacation, it makes a difference when you go from 2 weeks vacation to 3 weeks vacation. So it makes a difference to all the employees when their anniversary date is. And like I said, the way that we have it now penalizes, and it's not, I don't want to put words in Kristen's mouth, but basically
It's not fair.
it doesn't pass muster.
Oh,
I'll just leave it at that. So, boy, I'm sorry.
it's okay. Just,
So the thing
You made
is,
my headache worse.
yeah. So, yeah. So that's the only thing that's changed in that grid. All the accruals, everything else is what is our current policy. Now, here's what I've done. Just as in most places, they have the ability, if they did not use all of their vacation time, Mechanic Falls has been very staunch, use it or lose it. If you don't use it, tough noogie. Just as with my contract in most places, I want to be employee friendly and allow them to roll no more than essentially 1 week's worth of vacation with the caveats. So they have to come to me 30 days in advance of the end of the fiscal year and say that they want to roll whatever they want to roll. We'll say 40 hours. The new fiscal year begins July 1. They have 120 days to use that 40 hours. If they do, great. If they don't use it in that 120 days, they lose that rolled over time. So it gives the employees a little bit of extra breathing room based on personal circumstances, based on everything else. It makes it more employee friendly so they don't have to use it or lose it. It gives a little extra out. And in this day and age, most government employees have that sort of leeway. I'm not saying everybody, but most people have that sort of leeway. And so I'm taking this opportunity to put it in. And by the way, I am 99% sure when I say the following, all the other 3 towns that I looked at have a very similar policy. All right, and the town, it says something about a negative vacation balance, which is what you guys have had. So that's from the current policy. In the standard water department, because they're on a calendar year, it operates the same but different. The next section, well, first, seriously, do you have any questions about all of what I just said?
Do we, through the MMA or somehow, offer them like short-term disability that they can buy if they need it? Or want it?
For employees?
Yeah.
Oh, we offer all sorts of different things. That's coming in later sections, okay? Yeah, we have a bevy of things. Some things that the town, like health insurance, the town does.
Yeah.
Other things that we don't contribute to, but is available to the employees, like Aflac type stuff,
Okay.
so there's a bevy of things.
And this policy does not apply to the police department, correct?
So interesting you asked that. So literally today, I spent half of my day rewriting the union contract that we're going to discuss next week based on all the conversations that have taken place. So the union contract supersedes the personnel policy. So if there's something that's in the union contract, it will supersede anything in the personnel policy. Anything not in the union contract that is in the personnel policy will be, well, I'll use sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not in the union contract, but it will be a part of the employee's world when it comes to the personnel policy. Okay.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to answer that. This next section, earned paid leave. This is newer legislation that was handed down a while ago. And basically, for full-time employees, this is not impactful at all because we offer them vacation time, blah, 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 sick time. This is for the categories of employees who aren't full-time. It offers them an opportunity through state law to have time. And so I think it's Maine, right? Yeah, Maine earned paid leave, MEPL. So
this is what I'm familiar with, and that's why I was wondering about the 40 hours. So we just give them, after 6 months, we just give our employees the 40 hours.
so they earn it over time, and this lays out how,
Well, this is for
how they
not,
accrue it.
right, but this is speaking of employees who are not full-time, because we give
Right.
our full-time ones after their probationary period, 40 hours.
Bingo.
So this is, okay, so this is what I was understanding. So I was wondering how that, because
Yeah.
this is calculated
Yeah.
via every 40 hours that you work, you earn an hour.
Right.
So 20 hours a week they'd get it.
So
Okay. This is what I was
essentially-
understanding. That's why I was having a hard time with the other one,
Yeah.
understanding it.
The earned paid leave, again, is for those non-full-time categories
Yeah.
that qualify for it. And it offers them some time in the verbiage that's laid out here. Health insurance. We all know that the town offers the employees health insurance. The revised health insurance opt-out policy is updated. The HRA account stuff is the current information. Life insurance, we offer all full-time employees life insurance coverage up to 100% of their annual salary. Sick time, it goes into how you gain sick time, how much you can accumulate, when you can sell, in effect, your sick time, and when you leave, what percentage of sick time you can cash in. All of those rules are what's currently in your personnel policy. Unused sick leave compensation, again, if you leave and you have some banked, what the town will do. Income protection, vision care plan, and dental insurance, which starts to lean into your question, Paula. Talks about some of the different things that we offer. Social Security, Medicare, retirement benefits. Back a few months ago when you guys updated the MEPRS thing for the police, I restated the retirement benefits for our current benefits with the 457B plan and main PERS as well. Workers' compensation, unemployment fund, employee assistance program. Should an employee need some help? Travel expenses, clothing allowance. Certain employees will require uniforms. Personal travel vehicles, like I'm going to Augusta tomorrow. More on the uniform requirements, storm weather events. And might I say, thank you. And I mean this. One of the hardest decisions that I've made as a town manager is trying to decide whether or not to shut down the operation because of the storm. Some storms are easier to make a decision on than others. You guys have been very good and very understanding and flexible with me making those decisions. And so I just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you. And that's the end of section 5.
Good job.
So next in May, the May meeting.
Yeah, in May,
We'll
I'll have
finish
the
it.
rest of this.
Okay.
And just so you know, section 6 goes on and we'll get into Paula's bereavement stuff. But a lot of the tail end of this is going to be like FMLA, sexual harassment, grievance. And so, you know, a lot of those major a lot of verbiage to them. So, you know, I would have you go through it, review it. A lot of it is, some of it's boilerplate, some of it is us, some of it is words from Kristen. It's an amalgamation. It really is. And but if you have any thoughts or concerns, I want to know about it so we can discuss it. So I don't expect any action tonight, because at the end, you'll vote on this document.
Okay.
The only thing that if you guys wanted any changes in anything that we've gone through, then between now and the next meeting, I would have you bring that forward at the May.
Okay.
And if I don't hear anything from you guys, then I'm just going to move on to section 6. Okay.
Sounds good. Are we ready to move on to 10.2, appointing election clerks?
So you should have, did it have that?
No.
Okay, so I'll just pass this around. Here is a list of the election clerks for the town meeting. And what I'd like is after you've reviewed it, unless you have any concerns about any of the folks there, to take a vote to accept the election clerk list as presented.
I'll just say it out loud so that we have it on record. The 2022 election clerks, Nancy Peterson's the warden, Michelle Emery, the deputy register elections clerk, Stephen Turner, the election clerk, and Jacqueline Preston, the election clerk.
I make a motion that we accept the list of election clerks as read by the chair.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Moving on to 10.3, the before and after school program lease renewal.
All right, I'll try to be quick in my preamble because I feel like I'm exhausted, honestly. but this is an important topic. So one of the good things that Zach did is he left me a monthly list of to-dos to bring to you. And so that's how I first really learned of this lease agreement that the town has for the before and after program. I did reach out to Tarsha and had a conversation. And I did reach out and schedule some time with Amanda, and brought Amanda Bossy in last week to have a conversation concerning this contract, any thoughts that she would have about renewal and all that good stuff. She seems to be on board with keeping on, keeping on. I bring this information to you for you guys to, if you vote to continue either the same thing or change it or whatever, then assuming you want to move forward in some fashion, then I'll get together with Amanda and work out whatever details you give me. I will say that on page 2, we do have a little bugaboo. I'm not exactly sure how you want to deal with it. Under utilities, the second bullet point in the active contract says that the leasee shall be responsible for all other utility expenses, heat, phone, internet, etc., incurred for the location described herein. So I can tell you that this was a curveball to everybody. Amanda has not been charged for this past winter's heat. I added up the bills for this past, and Amanda does. She said that she would take care of it because I did discuss it with her, but at that point I didn't have a figure. So the current figure is $2,293.05. So just providing you guys information, that's what Amanda should pay us for this past winter. If you want to forgive that amount, that's up to you. If you want to have her pay, that's up to you. If you want to keep that in the contract, that's up to you. I'm just giving you guys information on the ground. So I turn this over to you.
Okay, so was that in prior leases? Do we know?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So I don't know. I got the feeling that before she wasn't paying for the heat, the town was my understanding.
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay, a couple years ago that came up and that was left out from a previous, it got left out because the previous contract had the utilities and that showed up without the utilities. And I wanted the utilities in there. So
Okay.
that's why I remember that.
Okay.
And so I'm for leaving as is.
So so it's in your laps. Let me know what you want to do.
I agree with Ms. Aikman.
I have a question. I don't know who can answer this. Does the before and after school program make enough money to pay for the utilities? They have in the past. I don't know why it wasn't paid this past winter season.
Well, that's what I wasn't sure of. How has it been happening? I wasn't aware. I didn't remember that piece.
So again, in this
Yeah.
learning journey on this
Yeah.
topic, it just came up when I was going through this contract with Amanda. I'm realizing live time with Amanda sitting in front of me that this includes heat. And Lisa was telling me that the town had paid for the heat. And so, I'm seeing something different than I heard.
Right.
And so then I did the recon on it because Amanda said, well, that she would take care of that. But she didn't know the amount. So, and again, fuel oil's been expensive this past winter, right? So the amount is $22.9305. So based on the contract, contractually, she should pay it, right? But it's up, I mean, you guys do what you want.
Another question. I know that the state of Maine DHS dictates what an entity can charge per child based on the county they're in. Does that same thing apply to the before and after school? Is it treated like a daycare?
I know nothing. I don't know.
I can't imagine that they're overcharging because it's very affordable. So, but that's just a,
Oh, no. Well, what I'm getting at is I know what Oxford County is because my stepmother owns M&M Childcare, and that's part of why she's closing. She can't afford it anymore. So I'm wondering if Amanda's in the same predicament. She's not allowed to charge anymore, but she's got this bill that she wasn't expecting.
Well, it wasn't that she's not delinquent on it. She just didn't know.
Well, right,
about
how
it,
is- that's what I'm
I mean,
wondering.
She said she
Yeah.
could take care of it, or she said she would take care of it.
well, yeah, but has it been paid monthly in the past or has it been paid at the end of
Yeah.
the season? That's what I was wondering.
So unfortunately, I'm not a great
Yeah.
one on the
Right.
history on
Yep,
this.
that's fine.
Probably Rose is probably the most resident expert apparently,
Well,
but
I just I didn't remember that piece. So,
I specifically did.
okay, but regardless, I would like to see the history of it, because if it's been paid monthly, like when do they? I mean, they must have some sort of budget.
Well, I
for
mean,
it,
I
so-
would think that could work with her as well. I mean, I wouldn't
Right.
think that we would say, all right, it's due, give us that money now, or we're not gonna give you the lease for next year. I would hope that we would work with them.
so I am here to do whatever you want me to do.
Right, I mean, if it's in the lease, I mean, it needs to happen, whether we decide to forgive some of it because they simply can't afford it. That's another thing to go through, but this lease was signed, so it's in there.
Was it open last year during the pandemic?
Yes, it never
Okay.
closed.
It
They never closed.
Okay.
But they obviously incurred a lot more expenses because they provided childcare on the days to kids who were on their off days, like on the rotation,
And they had to do all that stupid protocol
all the cleanings and
stuff,
everything. So,
which added to their bottom line that they hadn't figured it.
I don't know what funds, what they have for available funds, if they're running,
So the only thing I know is they're nonprofit, she says.
yeah,
And so essentially we're a landlord, right?
right.
That's our only role in this thing. And so we're a landlord. She has a contract. The contract says she pays for heat. So there's that whole side of it, right? I mean, contractually, she owes it. And it isn't like she has said, I'm not going to pay it or I don't want to pay it.
right.
She said
Right.
just the opposite. She says that she would pay it. She just didn't, I'm a little fearful that she doesn't know the amount other than if she's listening right now.
Right.
Right? And so I'm okay to have a conversation with her either way about either ponying up right away, ponying up over some sort of agreed upon time.
Well, right. And if it's that we increase the rent a little bit, because to include that, what does that look like? Because I think we need to revisit this, because I can't imagine that they just have $2,300 sitting in the account. I mean, that's just me. If it's this nonprofit.
Yeah, because
and-
nonprofits aren't allowed to have money sitting in accounts.
Well, I mean,
Well, they have money in their accounts.
they have
for
money, but
But
for
very
what's
little.
right.
It's very specific.
Okay,
one of
so,
several nonprofits that have. a
so
lot
when
of
does
money in
this
the bank.
need to be signed by, though? It just needs to
So
be,
it was.
I know they signed it.
Yeah, it was just something that was signed last April. So the contract is actually good through the school year.
Okay.
All right. So you do technically have a little bit of runway on this.
Is there any way to get Amanda in here next month so we can talk to
Reach
her?
out to her and see if she would be willing to come in and have a conversation with you, by all means.
Yeah,
Do they do their own bookkeeping system?
yes.
They'd have to.
Do they say
They
that?
do, they do their own bookkeeping system.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge. Again, I don't think we're running their books. Again, we're just a landlord,
Okay.
you know. And I would say that if we can, if she's agreeable to come in next month and have a conversation with you guys directly, I think that would probably be the best. Your May agenda is loaded up, it's loading up quickly. Like
Yeah.
a host of other things.
Well, we need to address this and we'd
Yeah.
like, if we have questions for her and we'd like, I mean,
And
I
I'll
would
try
hate
to
to
have.
see, I would hate to see something end because the heating bill,
Yeah.
especially in these times. So I would like to have more conversation because,
Yeah, and I'll reach out to her and invite her and then see if she has any.
okay.
And I'm just kind of dumbfounded. Lisa, did you ask Lisa on how they paid it in the past?
Well, Lisa said that they didn't pay it. The town had paid them all. Obviously, the town's paid the bill.
Lisa gave me the impression that you weren't paying, but as I hear Rose, it's been an on-off thing depending upon the contract.
But it's always, it's been in the contract.
Up until one contract when it wasn't, right?
Yeah. Then it went back
And
in.
now it's back in.
It went back in
Okay,
that same, there wasn't any lapsing time. The contract or the lease agreement was corrected.
I have a
Before the
question.
sign.
I'm just asking out of ignorance. Do we pay the electrical and then they reimburse us for the electrical?
no.
So they pay the electrical.
So the,
I'm guessing that the heating oil, because I'm assuming with the large entity, the municipality, we get a reduced rate. So we do that because it's a reduced rate and then they would be reimbursing us, saving them money, right? Instead of them just paying their own oil bill. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like if they
yeah.
don't
Well,
have
right,
the
'cause it's
buying
our-
power that we have.
Right. Well, it's
we
also,
think it's a nonprofit, so we're.
but it's
helping
also a
them out.
town building.
Right,
So
and we
it's-
can't let it just go without,
Right.
well, we couldn't let it go without electricity. I assume that's in there if they're paying it.
I'm not sure. I think we have more questions than answers tonight.
yeah. And again, so you do have the contract, okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just looking at it quickly to see if I can get the part about electricity and I'm
Right, I'm just saying. that
not
if we're
finding it in 10
Right.
seconds here.
Under utility, it says other utility.
Yeah, so it says the town will be responsible for the water and sewer bills associated with the building under the lease agreement described herein. Leasing shall be responsible for all other utility expenses, which I guess would include.
Electricity.
Yeah. And again, I honestly can't look you in the eye and tell you if we're paying it or if she's paying it. I don't know. I'd have to look. This entire subject was brand new to me just a few weeks ago.
And I looked at this document and I was so confused. I didn't learn much by reading it. So I didn't have enough answers, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll see if she can come next week. Next month. And if she can't, then I'll reach out to you guys and try to pool some questions to ask her that she could answer.
And I was looking at the donation part of it. Now, she can't get donations from the town, but is she able to get donations from other places? Do they do anything for fundraising? So they do some fundraising.
Yeah,
Yes,
but the
sir, just
pandemic
come up
put
to
a
the-
halt.
just come up to the mic and push a button.
Hi, sorry, it's hard to be quiet because I'm like, I know some of these.
I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I thought about you, but I was just like,
The fundraisers that the program has done that are the most successful are running dances at Elm Street.
Oh, okay.
So the father-daughter dances and a
Yeah.
Halloween dance, and they haven't been able to do that because of the pandemic. We can't have gatherings. So that's really affected they basically have events. So that's affected it. They do pay their own electric bill, and timing is important to them because parents with kids enrolled in the program pay a deposit for their spot for the following year, and that money is used to pay the insurance. So if we kick the can too far down the road, that's going to
Right.
negatively affect them with their other bills that do come
Right.
through as a lump sum.
Well, technically, they have a contract until June 17th, so.
No, but
right, but
working
she's
parents need
saying,
to know where their kids are going to go, or they have to try to come up with another plan. So you
Right.
want to be able to pay your deposit to have your spot. And if they don't have a lease, then they can't take deposits in.
So when does Amanda normally crank out the new applications for the coming?
After the lease goes through, so it would be in May, you would fill out your application for your children and pay your deposit.
Okay. So we need to talk to her in May. She needs to make it happen.
Well, we could also have a list of questions that she can answer if she can't be here. right? And you could have a
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
with her?
Yeah, I would think that she would make every effort to be here, I would assume, but
Right.
again, I don't want to speak for her, so
Right.
let me reach out and forgive me, is it Jessica? Jessica. So the contract was signed mid-April last year. Do you think, based on what you know, that if we were to take care of this at the next meeting on May 2nd, that would be too late?
It's close, but I think anything she would accept.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, that's the other thing I was wondering, do we need to have a special meeting just to address this so that they have the time that they need?
I'd be willing to come in mid-month for this. I mean, if it's really that, I'm just saying, not that I want to do another meeting, but
Well, I don't know yet, but you could be getting some information from me about another meeting.
Okay. Well, then let's keep that open.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's,
Yeah, if
don't
I
you-
do it.
Yep.
We
then
can do
we'll
a-
put
we
that
could
on
do a
the
special
agenda.
meeting with combining
Yeah.
some other things if
Yeah.
necessary.
But right now.
Okay.
Again, there's some stuff, I'm just waiting.
Yep.
except you'll probably do it
We
school
must-
vacation week. Don't do it school vacation week. I'll be in Ireland. Just saying, I won't be here.
We must have a previous contract in the file someplace.
We do. I could probably pull them right up in my email.
And while she's doing that, my apologies. I had a firmware update on my hearing aids and it's just driving me crazy. It's going up and then down. And so if I'm saying what, I apologize. It's my hearing aids.
I know I have that contract. Okay.
You,
I'm not sure what to look up.
do we know how many people are enrolled?
Yeah,
How
but
many
it's-
kids are enrolled in this?
Oh, let me,
I mean, guess, a wild guess,
Twenty.
less than 20. Okay. I was thinking like if it was 100, how much, like if it was just a small increment increase that they could entail to help. That's all I was just trying to figure out roughly how many kids.
Is that pandemic number, do you think, or can she take more than that? Do you know?
It's based on how many children per adult and the age of the children. So that's the limit.
Right.
There's 2 employees.
So they treat it like a daycare then?
They're like,
Okay, so I have the 4/14. So August 24th, 2020 to June 14th, 2021. So that would have been
The one before this?
the one before this. And it does have the lessee shall be responsible for all other utility expenses, heat, phone, internet, etc. So that's that one.
So that one had heat?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
there was 1 year, there was no contract.
that was sent in 2020. So the one we currently have is the 2021-22.
Right. And that's the only one that I have.
Yeah, that's his. Oh, okay. I have an email here with, I went back through our records and found the root of the discrepancy. So this must be what the discrepancy that. Oh, back in 14 to 15.
Can you forward
Uh,
those emails to Mr. Hodgkin so he's got them for his
Yeah.
records?
I'll do that because I'm not sure. That was a long time before this. I'm going to forward that to you, just so you have these
Sure.
things.
Sure. So it sounds like you guys are just going to table the topic for tonight.
I think so.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we table this,
The before and after school
the before and after school program until next
lease agreement.
lease agreement till
The next.
the
meeting.
next meeting.
Second.
And I'm going to forward you everything I have
Okay.
in front of me.
More information. I like it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Busy.
All those in favor?
There you go. Thank you.
I'm very busy.
I know you were busy. That's why I gave you the hint. I just.
That should be the end of it,
And-
right? I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Before you do, I'd like to tell you that I've got a very, very pleasant surprise for the citizens of Mechanic Falls. But if you wish me to wait for another month, to tell you what it is, that's fine. I want to tell you that I am the largest buyer of real estate in the state of Maine. If you think that's a bunch of crap, go on to the Anderson County Registry of Deeds and type in Robert W. Spencer, and you will find my name listed there. In the way.